She also appeared on Howard Stern, where he said he'd even vote for a wall over Trump. Harris replied, "I'm not a wall, but I am plastered." New York Times opinion piece says we should abandon the idea of masculinity. "I'm way ahead of you," said one man.
I'll say this, Dagan. I thank God for Howard Stern because he does make me feel normal by comparison. Because
imagine two of the most influential voices in modern media, known for cutting through noise and challenging norms, suddenly turned their focus onto a man once hailed as the undisputed king of all media. What began as commentary quickly escalated into an on-air dissection so sharp, so relentless, it didn't just criticize Howard Stern. It felt like an exorcism of his former self. Joe Rogan and Gutfeld didn't just talk. They systematically dismantled the carefully constructed persona Stern had built, revealing a transformation so stark, so unexpected, it left listeners questioning everything they thought they knew about the legendary shock jock. This wasn't a gentle nudge, it was a full-blown verbal earthquake, exposing a chasm between the rebel icon of the past and the figure he is today. He was the guy putting a Klansman on with a rapper, daring the FCC to shut him down, racking up fines that would cripple mere mortals. He told everyone to suck his DM in, and the audience cheered because he was their champion against the bland conformity of mainstream media. But according to Rogan and Gutfeld, that guy is gone, vanished, replaced by someone almost unrecognizable.
I'm like the Fox recluse. I don't do anything. I don't go anywhere. But he makes me look like, Pete Davidson on a...
Yeah, he's a germaphobe. Like, his wife rescues cats. That's her job, apparently, her thing. But you can get toxoplasmosis.
That's
and
true.
Cryptosporidiosis.
AIDS.
And,
No, you can't, but...
You can't get... But you can get...
I mean, what are the chances?
They pointed first to his sudden, enthusiastic embrace of what many perceive as woke ideology. The man who once reveled in pushing every boundary imaginable now champions causes and figures that seem straight from the progressive establishment playbook. Remember when he grilled celebrities on their most intimate details? Now, he's offering political endorsements and lecturing his audience. There was the moment he appeared with a prominent political figure who famously joked about being plastered. This is the kind of pivot that makes heads spin. The agent of chaos suddenly sounding like a cable news pundit. It feels like watching a wolf trade its fangs for a tie and lecture sheep on proper grazing techniques.
This is, I get that.
Because he had the affair with Jessica Hahn,
right,
who was the secretary, the hot secretary. And Jessica Hahn wound up Sam Kinison, and they had
I forgot about that. Yeah.
They had a terrible breakup. They were talking shit about each other on Howard Stern.
What do you think of what Howard's become recently?
Well,
he's the only person I know who's gone, other than Penn maybe, who's gone from being red-pilled to blue-pilled.
But that's how Stern can call snacking with celebs at a fancy restaurant exhausting. Exhausting. Like he finished the overnight shift in a coal mine. Or hearing Kat talk about her pets. But I get it, life is tough, especially when you've been cut off from the world for 2 years in a $20 million beach house. I mean, you have no idea how tiring it is walking all the way from the wine cellar to the tennis court and back.
Perhaps the most jarring aspect of this transformation, in their eyes, is his apparent move from fighting the system to joining its ranks. Yet, his critics argue, he now seems utterly comfortable sipping oat milk lattes with the very people he once scorned. Living in a multi-million-dollar bubble in the Hamptons, disconnected from the everyday struggles of his former audience, he's perceived as having traded his rebel credentials for comfort and elite acceptance. It's less about flipping the bird to the establishment and more about applying for its internship program.
I sound jealous? Yes.
Look, what he did, I mean, look, people to this day, they make fun of Howard Stern because of who he is now and the way he behaves now. That guy's the man. He was the f***ing pioneer. When he was the king of all media and he was telling everybody to suck his dick and the FCC was going after him, the government was fining him.
Yeah.
They were fining his businesses for f***ing millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And he was out there doing wild shit on the radio.
Putting a Klansman on with Young Thug.
And now he's woke.
And what happened to the show itself? Rogan and Gutfeld didn't just critique the politics. They went after the heart of what made Stern famous, his edge. The man who once hosted circus-like broadcasts filled with the unpredictable, the dangerous, and the genuinely shocking, now presents something far tamer. His guest list, once a wild mix of A-listers, unknowns, and outright freaks, is now described as safe and socially acceptable. It's like watching an aging magician who used to make elephants disappear, now pulling politically correct rabbits out of a hat no one asked for. This is the guy who made a notorious off-color joke right after a horrific school tragedy years ago, now seemingly policing the language and thoughts of others. The irony is so thick, you could indeed grill a steak on it.
Thugger.
And
Not
now,
Young Thug.
and now he's woke. It's
Miami.
crazy.
Trick Daddy?
Trick Daddy.
Yeah, he has to be though, because dude, the skeletons, that guy.
Yeah, look at this.
God hates.
Oh, and she's
No, there's also Hollywood Squares, but yes. They used to bring them back all the time.
Right is insisting on free speech. They were the motherfuckers that were censoring everybody.
Right.
They wanted to lock Howard Stern up in jail.
I was on Howard Stern's show. He was great at that time, and then he went woke. And since he's gone woke, his ratings have gone down the tubes, and he sort of went anti-Trump.
The list of contradictions his critics highlight feels endless. He railed against censorship, yet is now seen by some as embodying it. He mocked virtue signaling relentlessly, only to be accused of doing the very same thing. The king of misogynistic humor now offers breathless praise for certain progressive figures. Rogan delivered a particularly stinging line, suggesting Stern no longer fights the system. He sends it holiday cards. This isn't just changing opinion. It's a fundamental reversal of identity, leaving many wondering who the real Howard Stern is now, or if that rebel ever truly existed outside the persona.
For a couple of reasons.
They sued him. His parent company had to pay untold amounts of money. How much money did Howard Stern's company get fined? It was hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. Insane amounts of money. The government was trying to shut down a radio guy for talking
He was very angry at MAGA. He said, "We've got to stop MAGA." And I'm saying, it's Make America Great Again. You know, it sort of just didn't work so well.
And now that's the left. It's just patterns, man. It's just patterns where people can justify certain behaviors because it aligns.
Howard Stern telling people how to live, Rogan muttered, like it physically pained him. There's nothing in Stern's previous career that could withstand this modern witch hunt that he now embraces. So this is a form of restitution. Maybe he says, if I'm woke too, the crocodile will eat me last. But they always do eat. But I get it. He flipped from populist to elitist because now he's with elitists. He's living in the Hamptons. What would the Stern of now think of the Stern of before?
So, why the change? His critics speculate it could be about relevance, chasing approval, or perhaps a form of restitution for his controversial past. Maybe it's fear. The crocodile eats the woke last. Whatever the motive, the effect, according to them, is a perceived loss of authenticity. The man who used to reveal everything now seems to hide behind a curated image. This takedown wasn't just about laughs, it was a public grappling with what happens when a cultural icon radically reinvents reinvents himself in a way that feels like a betrayal of his core identity and past battles, especially when rumors suggest his relevance and listener numbers have suffered.
This week on his radio show, Howard Stern defended wokeism, saying it's a compliment when someone calls him woke. Listen.
If woke means I can't get behind Trump, which is what I think it means, or that I support people who want to be transgender, or I'm for the vaccine, dude, call me woke as you f***ing want. I'm not for stupidity, but I am woke, motherfucker, and I love it.
Oh dear, he swore. He swore that'll win over the woke.
The final piercing moments of their critique went straight to the gut. Rogan leaned in, not with a joke, but with an existential question that hung in the air. Do you even like yourself anymore, Howard? It wasn't a jab. It was an unearthing. Gutfeld added the finishing touches with brutal metaphors. The aging substitute teacher handing out detentions for using the word crazy. The comparison to the Joker trading Gotham for a mall cop beat. They weren't just critiquing his politics or his show. They were questioning his soul. The sense was clear. They weren't rooting for his failure, but they were mourning the death of the boundary-pushing voice he used to be. A voice now silenced by fear, fame, and the very machine he once shattered with a single sentence. The man who challenged everything now seems to challenge nothing more than his assistant's coffee order.
When I watch them on Saturday Night Live with the where they have Maya Rudolph playing you, I hate it. I don't want you being made fun of. There's too much at stake. I believe the entire future of this country right now, I mean, as America, land of the free, home of the brave, I think it's literally on the line.
So a guy who's supposed to be funny for a living now claims her candidacy is too important to joke about. This is a guy who once joked right after the Columbine massacre that the killers should have raped the students before killing them. Not that I like that Stern, but this pendulum swing from saying the most tasteless thing in the universe to putting your balls in a Tic Tac container. You gotta wonder what's going on here. It's striking that the king of the most misogynistic humor ever now turns into a breathless over a progressive, hopelessly shallow candidate.
This wasn't just comedy. It was a cultural autopsy. Rogan and Gutfeld didn't just call out Howard Stern. They held up a mirror to a man who, in their view, traded his rebellious spirit for a seat at the establishment's table. His contradictions, his rebranding, his perceived loss of nerve, all laid bare. They reminded the world not just who Howard Stern is now, but why the disappearance of the shock jock king, the voice that dared to be indecent in an age of forced propriety, was something worth noticing, something worth questioning. And the question lingers, is the king of all media truly gone? Or is he just hiding behind a facade, perhaps even from himself, effectively than the FCC ever could?
This definition of woke it's if you call someone a know-it-all, you're not complimenting them on the breadth of their knowledge. You're saying you don't know as much as you think you know. So yeah, woke doesn't have anything to do with vaccines. What it really means is sort of a slavish devotion to left-wing ideology and then repeating it so you can get social credit. Right. That's really what it means. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you're smarter than anybody. And he had said in another part of this set, because I believe in the science. Well, if you believed in the science, you wouldn't be hiding out like Howard Hughes.
So they fucked with him for 14 years. 14 years.
And that's not paid by the station, that's paid by him.
Fine owners of radio station licenses that carried the Howard Stern show. A total of $2.5 million for content and considered to be indecent. Indecent. Like, why do you have those rules? Like, why do those rules exist? To keep obscenity from television and like, maybe that was a good idea in 1950 when people didn't know any better.
Do they still call it Sirius XM?
Still Sirius XM, and I've heard that it's Howard's money.
Yeah, but he has so much. Well, first of all, he leaves. They're
oh yeah,
because that's like how many subscribers?
Yeah,
will bail when that guy leaves.
Dude, I did Howard Stern show 3 months ago, and I thought he wasn't in the room, but the way they have that set up is you really believe he's in the room, like almost like a hologram.
They tricked you.
Dude, I was talking to Howard Stern, but he was in Long Island or wherever he was, Florida, and I was in